What's in it for the conservator? I mean, do they stand to make money having that position?
Absolutely. So again,
well, there you go.
The laws of all 50 states allow them to have a salary. And in some cases, we saw reports in the Britney Spears case that her father profited from her concert tour. So, you know, are decisions really being made in the best interests of the conservatee? And I would say here, where the conservator is the sole heir at law of the conservatee, it is in his best interests not to spend the conservatee's money on the conservatee's care, because whatever is left upon her death goes to Kyle Johnson. So there's a built-in incentive there. So it's extremely important for all of us to put advance directives in place. And inherent in the word advance, that means before a problem. So a lot of people kick the can down the road thinking I'm going to get to this when I'm elderly. But look at Britney Spears. She was in her 20s. She did not have a power of attorney, a health care proxy, a living will. And within the power of attorney, we name the person. We say, in the event that I am deemed to need a conservator, I want Drew to be my conservator. So we really need to take power back by creating these documents in advance.
How does dementia specifically play a part in this case?
So I think the biggest takeaway here is that dementia does not mean that someone is going to appoint a conservator. Mm-hmm. We have millions of people suffering with some type of dementia-related mm-hmm. illness. The overwhelming majority of them will not have a conservator. Mm-hmm. But where we have a conservatorship and we think there may be a dementia-related illness, then it is incumbent upon the court to make sure that as little as possible changes within the conservatee's life, their living arrangements, and their social interactions. So my question for Kyle Johnson would be, how is it in Ms. Nichols' best interests to be cut off from Angelique and her other social network?
Early in 2013, Nichelle Nichols asked me to make a videotape of her stating what she wanted in her final years. Nichelle was very angry at her son for putting her in a rest home.
I say to him, Kyle, when you pay my bills, you'll be able to tell me what to do.
You know, Angelique, in the tape, we saw earlier that she never wanted a conservator, right? So, and this was recorded. When this took place, what prompted you to record this?
She was very upset, very angry, very scared that her son would put her back in the rest home if she returned home, and she wanted to protect herself. So I saved it in my safe for 6 years and just waited, you know, for hopefully nothing to happen, but unfortunately it did.
Is that videotape that was recorded, I mean, from a legal lens, is that binding? Is that something that the court would look at and say, hey, this is what we're going to do?
Probably not. So the court is not going to be satisfied as to its authenticity. What were the circumstances under which it was recorded? Could it have been altered? So the tape would probably be inadmissible. But even if it were admissible, the content, Nichelle Nichols stating clearly that she did not want a conservator, is not the question before the court. None of us want a conservator. 10 out of 10 people asked would not want a conservator. The question for the court is, does she need a conservator? So what is that test? And there's a lot of misinformation about that. It's not, am I acting wildly? Am I acting counter to my best interests? The question is, am I capable of making good decisions?
As a doc that does capacity evaluations, which is not a legal document, it's a physician's opinion, then it goes to the court. But as a capacity evaluations, this is what I look at, right? First of all, a full mental status examination, right? Which incorporates sensorium and cognition and awareness. Make sure that that's good and stable. Then we look at, does someone understand their current medical problems? Do they understand pros and cons of treatment? Do they understand pros and cons of withholding treatment? Is there an underlying mood disorder, maybe depression or psychosis? So we look at all of those things before we say, you know, it does not appear that the patient can make a decision in their best interest at this time, and then we present it to a court.
And now it becomes a legal determination. So the medical evaluation of capacity is a huge piece of this, but it's not the final word. The court will appoint a court evaluator who is not a physician. It can be an RN, it can be a social worker, it can be a psychologist, to sit and talk to the allegedly incapacitated person and get a sense as to whether A, they need help safeguarding their own interests, and B, who is in the best position to help this person.
Right. So many moving parts in these circumstances. Angelique, any final thoughts?
In the end, I just want Nichelle to get her rights and have the ability, even if it seems impossible, to go back to her home, to be able to enjoy the rest of her life, at least close to the manner in which she wanted to, without a relative cussing her out, treating her badly, not being kind to such a kind and beautiful woman who loves the world, who loves her fans. So in the end, I believe that Nichelle knows I still have her back, and I will continue to fight for her human and civil rights.
Well, Angelique, thank you for your concern, not only for Nichelle, but for others out there. That's why it's been so important to have this discussion today. We reached out to Nichelle's former manager for a statement about her conservatorship, and this is what he had to say. The story about Nichelle being removed from her home against her will is true. From the day I met Nichelle, the first thing out of her mouth was she never wanted to be moved out of her home under any circumstances. She wanted to pass away there, and she made me promise that that would be her dying wish. We did not receive any type of statement back from her son.